Most low elo persons think that they're playing good chess until they check stockfish. And I used to be the same, but now I am a chess master. I'm going to be breaking down in this video some of the hacks that I've used along my journey to really get where I am today and what you guys can actually use to skyrocket your elo. So just take notes and we're getting right into it, guys. Implement this. Most persons believe I just saw chess and I was, boom, just a feed a master just like that. No, guys, I had to go through the struggle as well. But guess what? What made the difference was that I focused on things that actually helped me improve, while others were looking at tricks and traps. Learn how to play chess, guys. So first thing is space advantage and overextending. Learn the difference because back then I didn't know. I thought that once I'm taking over ground, I'm gaining space, and that is far from the truth. When you have space, guys, it has to be restricting pieces. So example here, in games before, I'll be pushing moves like pawn to e5 and I'm like, I'm gaining space. Not even know that what I'm doing is absolute rubbish. Right now, this knight on e7 can't move. Why? I can't move forward. Why? Because of the squares being controlled by white pawns. Look at this. This bishop also is not having any room to do any damage. By us pushing this pawn to e5, this light square bishop starts to look in our ear of the board. Second thing is that this knight starts to get some room to jump up around. You need to know the difference. Once you have the space, ensure that it's restricting pieces. Don't just push pawns randomly because it looks pretty. And the thing is, again, persons would not know this until they check the engine and they're like, wait, why is this a mistake again? You're giving up squares, guys. Understand the difference between, again, space and overextending. Must be restricting pieces. If it's freeing up pieces and allowing your opponents to develop freely, that's bad. Hold ground. Let's get into the next one. Now, when there's not a lot of pawns in the center, it's just free for pieces, guys, and then tactics could start flying out like crazy. I already told you guys, not in this video, but you look for tactics when there are unprotected pieces like this one here, and when the king is vulnerable to checks. Once your opponent's king is vulnerable to checks, that means that there could be a tactic in the scenario. Same thing vice versa. If your opponent can give you a check, be very careful for tactics and check to see if you have unprotected pieces. Now in this position, there's knight takes e3. Now look, the low elo persons, or most persons here, their calculation looks like this. Knight to d4, I move my queen. Now, more advanced players, they don't auto think to just react to what their opponent is doing. They look for in-between moves. They look for counter-attacks, how they can actually fight back. So when I'm calculating, right now, the minute he attacks my queen, I'm like, wait, can I counterattack something? Oh, he has a rook here. Knight takes e3, counterattacks the king. And q takes a2 basically wins a piece. This is it, guys. Look out for tactics. Remember, pawns help to control space. If there are no pawns in the center and pieces start going crazy, watch out for unprotected pieces and just keep the game flowing. Let's go. Next on the list, we have tunnel vision. Like, I could not calculate properly to save my life. As a matter of fact, who needs calculation? The minute I see my opponent do something that I think is weird, I'm like, I'm winning, I'm crushing, and I just relax. Like, example here, he's attacking my knight, and I'm like, what, wait, why is he giving me his bishop? And then my calculation ends there. I'm like, that's a free piece. And I take it. And then boom, he plays q to b1, and I'm like, oh my god, how did I miss that? You missed it simply because you didn't calculate. Now in chess, once a piece is pointing in your half of the board, it's officially a danger piece. This rook on a8 cannot hurt us. Why? Because it is passive. Once your opponents have an active piece on the board, start to check it in. It's gonna like check the moves in your ear of the board to see if he can actually put harm. Check what your opponent is threatening before you move. And remember, you also need to look at your threats as well. Now you guys know the motto. If you see a good move in chess, look for a better one. Now, I want to take this bishop here, but I need to calculate because I also see that black has this threat of q to b1. Now, by playing an intermezzo or an in-between move, you can make these moves possible. Now, here, q to d4, giving a check. Remember that tactics also comes up when there are unprotected pieces and a vulnerable king. Once you start to see these things come up in your games, be more aware for tactics. The difference is the minute the king moves, no we can take. Why? After q to b1, no. We simply block and we're up a whole piece, guys. The thing is, you guys could even be on like a winning streak and then lose a game like this because of your one move error and then tilt all your ratings away. Why? Because you don't have any patience. Just sit, calculate more, and actually form the right habits, guys. Remember, do the right stuff for chess and it will bring the consistency. Now, because I know that persons are going to be watching this video and then just going back to their old habits, I'm going to be reinforcing this right now. For the persons who generally want to improve, it is black to play in this position. What would you play? And remember, it's going to come down to your mindset, your thought process. This is again what builds the consistency. Now, for persons, for low elo players, your brain just shuts off. The minute their opponent plays a move and it looks like they hung a piece, their brain just like it turns off, guys. And like, why did he give me his knight? And they just take it. And their calculation stops there. They're one move thinkers. And then when they get surprised, example, one more thing, guys. Understand this. If your opponent doesn't resign in this position, then he has to play something. And you must always check the most aggressive move from your opponent. Example, this move, bishop to e2, because what? It attacks a piece. Once you check for the aggressive move from your opponent, then you're basically you're calculating, guys. You're calculating. I don't like one move thinkers or one move thinking ideas. This is basically, if anything else is gonna destroy your chess, this one will do it the fastest. At low elo, everybody is doing one move thinking, which is why they're just in this big circle. If you want to break out of that mess, you have to start to look for better, look further. And the same thing here. If you see a good move in chess, look for better. If you looked for an in-between move, if you didn't just react to what white was doing, if it wasn't a case where you're like, all right, pawn takes f4 looks good. Is there better? Can I play an in-between move like knight takes d3? Second thing is, first off, if you see that knight is free, nothing is wrong if you're checking to see if you can take the piece. What you don't want to do is to stop at simply pawn takes f4, because that is only one move thinking. If you look for further and you realize that bishop to e2 chapter queen, well done. That is going to help you again in your games with the consistency. Now, knight takes d3 is a big intermezzo. And the thing is, after knight takes d3, then we simply take the knight on d4 and we're absolutely winning. If the knight returns, then q to f3, attacking everything. And this is all true, guys. Right? Next thing. Next test. If pawn takes d3, is my first instinct to run away with this queen again? No, we have another chance to do an intermezzo. Knight to e3 check. Yes, guys, this is called a check. You have to train yourself to find these moves. I didn't start off in chess just playing like this. I trained it. King to d2, you could, if I want to play pawn takes f4, I'm like, good. I look for better. Can this work? You just have to practice on a better basis. Like pawn takes f4 or q takes e1. It's like both are winning. It's just up to you, which you would prefer. What I want you guys to understand is the mindset, because you could solve 10, 15, 20 puzzles and not understand the patterns that you're really missing in your games. This is it. What you need to look out for when playing chess, just relax, focus on the good stuffs, and your ratings will improve. We're getting into the next one. Alright guys, so it is black to play in this scenario. What would you play? Let's see who is actually paying attention. Now, me back then, I would just be like, why is my opponent so bad at chess? That's a free piece. But now I look to calculate further. Have to see how he can attack me. So I'm like, all right, if I take, what is white going to do to attack me? If he castles, then I'm just up a whole piece. Like, just picture white castling right now, then there's nothing for black to worry about. I'm just gonna be up a whole piece. So what I do is, whenever I'm checking for these lines, I'm like, what happens if he takes on e4? The thing is, he's also threatening q to d8. You see the idea, guys? The only way white can hurt you is if he's playing something aggressive. But luckily for black, after knight takes e4, this queen is now protecting the checkmating square. But we calculated. Again, after I take on g5 or calculate to take on g5, I'm looking for these moves. Knight to f3. Moves in which basically puts pressure on one of my pieces. Attacks me. Double attacks. This is what most persons are missing in their games, which is why they're just throwing away wins. Here you have to see the move q to d5. Obviously, if we take here on f3, then q to d8 is indeed checkmate. So we have to see q to d5, and in this scenario, we would be up a whole piece. If you guys found this, well done. That is how you, again, build the consistency. The minute a piece is looking into your ear of the board, be very alert. Pieces in your half of the board, if you have the chance to kick them out, do so. Because if you don't, tactics could start to come about in your ear of the board. Now, how many persons have a winning position, but they just can't hold it? They can't convert, they can't do anything. And they just throw away all the games back to square one. What would you play for white in this scenario? How many persons here would play rook takes g6? I'm going to be giving the answer shortly, but this is it, guys. If you don't see it, don't play it. That is the golden rule when it comes on to calculation. If you don't see it, don't play it. That has helped me so much, it's unreal. Now, rook takes g6, pawn takes g6, q takes g6, right? What do you guys see there? If you don't see a way in which you're crashing through, don't play it. Don't just play the move and it's like, when it comes on the board, I'll work it out. Bad habits, all right? Second thing is, if you calculated rook takes g6 and you know that your opponents won't just respond to you, and they'll instead look for a counter attack, which is rook takes c2, because guess what? This is passive. Look, guys, look how I look at chess. My opponent's rook on f1, f8 is passive, it's defensive. Queen is passive. This is passive. The only piece for black that can harm white is this rook on c8, because it's the only piece putting pressure on our side of the board. Remember, in chess, we always look out for these pieces. This is what our opponents might use to perform counter attacks, like rook takes c2 and pawn takes here, and just like that, you'd have thrown away this entire game because of a rushed decision. If takes and q to c7 for simply blocking, and black would be up a whole piece. White, from having a completely won game, is now completely lost. But guess what? Your intuition is not wrong. Sometimes in chess, when you realize that there's a lot of captures on the board, you get this, this sense that there might be something here in this scenario. And then you'll find the move rook takes f7. Now, the thing is, persons would know that there's a tactic in the position, but they can't see it. And because they can't resist the urge of just sacrificing something, they'd rather go down a piece than actually sit down and calculate the correct line. Now, this is it. After rook takes f7, we're threatening mate, threatening to win the queen. Everything here is completely done, guys. Just remember, it's going to be your last test. Oops, not this. Just hangs mate. But rook takes c2. We have to check this. We simply move our king somewhere. We could go king to d1 or king anywhere, but we're threatening checkmate. And the queen, the rook is also under attack. We're winning this game on the spot. See how we're not reacting to our opponents? If we wanted to take the rook on c2, we look for better. Once you practice the right skills, it just gets better, guys. Focus on the right stuff in chess and your rating will improve. Thanks again for watching, guys. Like, share, and subscribe, and see you guys again another time.